Hey, this is Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies and Infectious Grooves, and check out overdrive.ie, the home of heavy music news.
Hey guys, welcome back to Overdrive.ie. I am very, very pleased to be sitting here with the one and only Tobias Forge of Ghost. Tobias, how are you? Thank you for taking the time.
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Okay, so look, we are constrained with time here, so I just wanted to jump right into it. So album number 6 is on the way, coming out on April 25th. The title of the record is Skeletá, and I wanted to just get a little bit into the lyrics of the album. Just previous albums have been coming from sort of grand historical and social themes, i.e. with Imperia and Prequel, but this is more intimate and self-exploratory approach for you. Can you just tell me a little bit more about the reason for that?
The reason was because of Impera and Prequel, I think, or previous records in general, that was just, which showed like a more of a steady stream of reflective of social structure and external threat, and so I felt that I really didn't want to repeat that again on like an Impera 2, but I'd much rather make a record that was going to be more internalized and more about healing, if you will, and more subjects was going to be very basic, very exploring typical basic feelings like love, hate, hope, regret, and acceptance.
I understand that you took what has been said is a media fast whilst conceptualizing Skeletá, stepping away from the 24-hour news cycle, so to speak. How did that?
But, yeah, long story short, that's a misconception by whomever wrote the bio.
Oh, okay.
That is simply not true. No, I had as a mission to not let a lot of the media that I was consuming at the time seep in too deep into the record.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I was sort of an open goal on the previous record. And I did, however, have a media blackout from November and onwards.
Okay.
For obvious reasons. But the record and its context is obviously has to do with that and with the concept of detaching and a little from the insanity that is the pace in which media is sort of super serving everybody with essentially op-eds and opinions and predictions about what people think, which is unnerving.
Did that, by doing that, by sort of stepping back, did that allow you to tap into something that might have been creatively that might have been harder to reach otherwise, do you think?
Well, I mean, had I written the record completely in a radio shadow, there might be even more introspection. If that would have been wished for, but I don't know. Maybe I mean it was just a method of trying to set. Look, the record is not like completely clinically freed of social commentary. That's not really the point. I'm not saying that was not something that I completely wanted to avoid. I just didn't want the record to be sort of driven by it.
So the first single, I believe, is Satanized. Great title. It's been chosen as the first single, and it is described as, quote, demonically hooky. What can you tell us about the song's concept and its place within the larger story of Skeletá?
The as I said, the album is very much based on the idea of fundamental feelings and sentiments, and Satanized represents the concept of being in love, and where a deep infatuation and a deep love can feel as though it is actually your mind being possessed by an otherworldly being who is sort of consciously tearing your innards apart, and which is, it's a fascinating feeling that I'm sure many listening can relate to. It's specifically tormenting if it's unrequired and doesn't lead anywhere, because it's, it can literally feel like something that you need to detox from.
Yeah.
A process that, I don't understand how that does not exist yet. Like an AA for people who are heartbroken or that needs to be detoxed from others, because it's such a lethal state of mind. It's such a lethal sickness. And I'm not saying that love is bad. No, absolutely not. But I'm just saying that the powers of life and love and the desire for love and to have that answered and met is, I think that's one of the closest things that you can ever come to an actual demonic possession.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people being in love has probably throughout the course, throughout the history of time, of superstitious, not very learned people have probably mistaken that for people being possessed by demons.
With this album, you have you've worked with Gene Walker as producer and Andy Wallace and Dan Melch, I believe, handling the mix. How did these collaborations with these guys, did it shape the album in a way that was kind of unpredictable to you leading into it, or did it kind of unfold and blossom beautifully the way you wanted it to?
Well, I mean, the people that I've worked with specifically was I for the last 4 records I've had collaborators that have worked with me songwriting wise on a lot of songs. This time too, I worked with Max Giron and Vincent Pontare and Salam Al Fakir. On each, I had a few songs respectively with each, and Max had more than Vincent. And this time around, I just felt that together on each respective song that I'm collaborating with these people, we are making our darndest to make sure that the song is everything that it can be. So I felt like I'm not gonna bring in like an external, like another producer into the record.
Yeah.
I've done that before, and I'm not saying that was like a completely unpleasant experience, but it can be a little bit crowded, and I was interested in seeing how far I could take it. I'm gonna say myself with an asterisk, because I mean I wasn't completely by myself. I had Vincent as a friend, and who was ball planking me, and Max was also someone I could rely to with an ear and help. But I didn't have like one person coming in who sort of like
directed everything.
Yeah. Had it right.
Okay.
because I'm usually that person anyway. So it felt like a little bit like having an actual producer there that was going to do basically the job that I'm doing is a little bit of a crowd.
We are, I believe, on the era of a new, obviously with a new album, but obviously with the theatrical elements as well that we all love so much with Ghost. There is the hinting and the suggesting and the Easter eggs out there for a new persona coming. I know that you're obviously not going to talk about that yet because it's an unveiling, but is that something that we will see in the next couple of weeks or months?
Next couple months, absolutely. As soon as we close in on the album. I mean, obviously the tour is going to start before the album release, so it's there will be plenty of information coming.
The second half of the album, I feel from listening to it, I mean, deals with what I believe is transcending darkness. Tracks like Cenotaph and Excelsis suggests themes of renewal and continuity beyond mortality. Would you say Skeletá is an overarching message? I mean, you kind of touched on it there about life and death and what comes after. I mean, I know you spoke about love and regret and everything like that, but very much about life and death as well.
Not so much about what happens after death, but more so, Cenotaph is written from a perspective where someone has passed, and basically whether or not someone remains in a grave is the only thing that exists, or if existence from beyond the grave is something that is something else. So it's written from a perspective where you are alive. The person that we were singing about is not. So it's the current state is being alive, and Excelsis is also a song about the concept of death and someone passing, but the message is basically that if you are listening, you are clearly alive, and the message is basically live your life because you're clearly sitting in the middle of it, and instead of look, I've also wasted a lot of time thinking about death, and I find that to be morbidly fascinating, but I try not to waste my life fearing it, because that is a little bit of a waste. It'll come, and it will. You'll see what happens.
Only death is real.
Only death is real. Yeah, death is certain, life is not.
Absolutely.
Dark Angel.
Just the success of Right Here, Right Now, the film, was phenomenal. Wonderful cinematic experience. The fans absolutely loved it. Just briefly, do you think this could open the door for more of these types of projects from you going down the line?
Possibly. Right now I don't feel. Right now I feel that was right there and right then. I feel that from a creative point of view, it gave me what we refer to in Swedish in Sweden as a blooded tooth, meaning that I like that experience. I got a taste for it now, and that is definitely something that I want to pursue more in the future. To what extent, to what capacity, I cannot say. But I'm very interested in that. The only thing I know is that I can't really do music and a film at the same time, which I did last year, and that was
too much.
Very fucking hard.
The news of you taking part in the Black Sabbath, the much talked about Black Sabbath show in Villa Park this coming July. Would you be able to give a slight insight into what that will entail for you? Are you going to be collaborating with other people? You don't have to give names, or will it be a kind of a solo performance with you?
The only thing I can really tell you is that from what I gather was that bands participating on stage playing like full bands are generally bands that are on tour at the time,
Okay.
whereas a lot of the artists that comes in singularly, uh, are ones that may not be sort of accessible in full group. We were one of those because we are about to start our US tour like 2 days after that or something like that. So it was impossible for our entire entourage to multitask like that. We couldn't do it. It was just too, especially economically, it was like no fucking way. It's not going to work. So my job here, my mission, the gift that I've been given, and which I feel really proud to be part of and being asked to do, is to play with I don't know, some of the people playing there, and which I know I think a few others are doing too.
Cool.
I guess we're being put together in makeshift groups to play songs, which is phenomenal.
Listen, Tobias, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me here on Overdrive, and congratulations with this fantastic new album, and best of luck with everything, and we'll see you out there on the road. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
If I can...